Okay, here I got my, this is a ground beetle, which we caught in Oman. And I've already put the main pin, the mounting pin in. It's a number 2 mounting pin. Let me take one more look at the camera. Yeah, I guess this is pretty good. Again, if people start watching these videos, I'll maybe try a little harder to produce them. I'm using this is actually an O-ring pulling tool. This is for removing O-rings. I like this hook because I can sort of get underneath and into these tighter spots and manipulate their legs to get the legs out to where I want them to be. This bug is freshly dead. I think he just died last night, or perhaps when I put the mounting pin through him. He hasn't moved, so he's dead, but he's very freshly dead. So, you know what? I don't think he is all that fresh because he's already. Most of the bugs seem to go through a phase. In the beginning, they are very. In the beginning, they're pliable, and then they get stiff, and then they get soft again. By soft, I mean easy to position their feet, their bodies. And this bug was already pretty pliable, pretty soft, easy to move. So perhaps he died yesterday. I washed the bug in water. So I run them in cool water, and to not get off any dirt or sand that was stuck to them, I use various kinds of soft paint brushes to clean. I always start with the softest brushes, so I'll use something like this. This is a very soft brush, and you can go in and just knock all the dust off, any dirt that's on. These soft paint brushes are also great for positioning sometimes, because you don't have to worry about damaging the very soft structures with the hard points on these. So sometimes it's a good way to even do your positioning is with the paintbrush. So you see here, I can easily use a paintbrush. And with the paintbrush, you can do things like I can flatten out his feet now and get his feet to bend down the way they're supposed to be. I know how to position them, this particular bug, because he was alive in our collection for the last 2 months. And during that 2 months, I witnessed him running around. He's very fast. He stands tall. In fact, this is about as low as he would be normally. He'd typically stand up pretty tall, especially when he's running around. So this is probably the fastest beetle I've ever caught. We're lucky to catch him, actually, because this thing was fast. He could really run. So here, like, this foot is not bending down the way I want it to, so I can use a paintbrush to sort of tease it down, see? Sort of tease it down. And I'm not setting any pins yet, because I just want to get an idea of what's going to look good, what's going to make the most interesting pose. I don't really follow the kinds of poses that entomologists use for taxonomy and classification. Their poses tend to be a little bit less interesting, but better for their priority is on measuring the physical attributes, like measuring the lengths of the legs and things like that, the lengths of the antenna. And so they have these very specific poses. I like to get a nice dramatic pose that looks cool. So I'm going to try to get his upper head. I want to get his head looking up like this. That's my goal, is to get his head up like this. All right. Now, usually, after I get a pretty good idea how I want them set, what I'll do first is I'm going to put 2 pins on either side of his butt. And yeah, I'm not going to use the technical terms because I don't know them. Where's my pins? Oh, there they are. So this is, I'll show you this real quick. This is a hawk moth that is ready for mounting. Absolutely gorgeous. Another lucky find. So I'm just going to get my pins that I'll need and stick them in here. Okay, oops. Put Mr. Hawk Moth back up here. That moth is going to be mounted soon in the permanent collection. All right, let me get these pins together, stick them in. Unfortunately, I know I've got a mix of different size pins here, but for positioning, I don't think the diameter of the pin really matters much. I kind of like small pins. I usually use the 0 pins, the size 0 pins for positioning. But I don't think it matters. They're all the same length. All right. For piercing for the mounting pin, the smaller the pin, the easier it is to get through the bodies. This guy's shell isn't that hard, but some of the bigger beetles, their shells are super hard, and it can be pretty difficult to get a small pin through without breaking it. But a big pin is almost impossible to get through without crushing or cracking the carispium, the shell of the bug. So there's a balance between a big, thick, strong pin, like a number 2, or even bigger, and a small, thin, flexible pin, like a number 0. None of these pins are particularly flexible. If you bend them too far, they will just snap. They don't bend, they break. And if you break a pin, especially when you're using a pair of pliers to force through a tough bug, if it breaks, you're almost definitely going to crush your bug. When the pin breaks, your pliers will probably smash down and crush the bug. So I usually put fingers underneath like this, so that if the pin breaks, I maybe can stop it before it crushes my bug. That's probably the most stressful part, is that piercing the body. To that point, I also did not pierce this bug in the technically correct place. You're supposed to have pierced it right about here, according to the rules. But as I said, I want a dramatic pose. I want his head reared up like this. And so that if I put the mounting pin in this part, which I think is the thorax, if I put the mounting pin where you're supposed to through the thorax, it wouldn't work very good for my purposes. So I'm not going to do that. Okay. Like I said, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to prevent the body from twisting around on the pin. So I'm going to get the body pointing straight forward. That's probably good. And I'm going to place 1 pin on either side. One right there. And then the other pin. I'll push right up against that one so it's kind of under tension. There. So now the body won't swing around. So as I make adjustments and pull on things, this is more important when you have a bug that's already stiff and isn't very compliant. This bug is pretty compliant. All right, now I'm just shooting for a pleasing symmetry. Yep. And these need to come forward probably a little bit. Yep. It's out. That's probably about right. see if I can't bring these forward a little bit more. Yeah, that looks better. All right. So I can tell that these legs are going to have a tendency to want to swing back. So I will prevent that from happening by putting a pin right there. Hold on a second. Am I happy with that? Not. Let's pull this back here. Yeah, that's probably good. All right. So I'm going to go right behind his heel, right there. I'm just going to keep that leg from swinging back. Then I'm going to do the same on the other side here. Yeah, that's about perfect already. It's like right there. Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Next. Next I'm going to try to set the back feet. Okay, so I think I want this out a little bit. Yeah. Now I'm going to set these pins right over his ankles. And there. One there. Yeah. Another thing, the thinner the pin, the easier it is to push through the foam. That's pretty straight. Right over his ankle. If you didn't know this, you do not put the pin through the body, through the parts. These pins are only going through the foam, and they're just there to hold the bug in place so that during the drying process, if the body starts to curl up or shrink or any sort of natural curling up of the bug can be prevented. Also, when I'm done positioning, it's going to go into a Ziploc bag full of desiccant, and the jostling around would definitely upset the body positioning if not for the pinning. So you're just trying to hold the legs in place. Right, so his legs are going to wind up kind of in front there because of the attitude, because of this position that I want. I want that like that. So this leg is probably about perfect right here. So I'm going to head and I'm going to set those feet because I think these feet are perfect. Yeah. So I'm going to, just like I did before, I'm going to go right over the top of his little ankle there. I call it an ankle. I am sure that is not the technical term. If you came here for bug science, you came to the wrong, you're looking at the wrong video. This is not bug science, this is bug bug art. And why do I do this? Well, it started off as a thing I did with my 6-year-old, or at the time 4-year-old son. We would catch these bugs on our camping trips, and they are so amazing looking. I wanted to be able to show people what these bugs look like. And especially, so I live in Abu Dhabi. These bugs are mostly caught in Abu Dhabi, Oman, Ras Al Khaimah, United Arab Emirates, and Oman, basically. And so we see these bugs when we're out camping and having our little family adventures. But very few people get to see them up close because most people are afraid of bugs and they either kill them right away, which is a terrible shame. You should not indiscriminately stomp out a beautiful bug, especially a beetle or a camel spider. They don't hurt anybody. Camel spiders don't bite people, contrary to popular belief. So people are afraid of them, and they never really get to look at how beautiful they are because they just freak out and start trying to kill them. But if you come to my house, I have these amazing displayed versions of these creatures where you can actually see right up close exactly what these creatures look like. And when you see them up close and you see their beauty, the really cool little features that make them unique and special, well, that will change your relationship with the bug and maybe with nature. So maybe on your next adventures in the wild, you'll do a camera check here. How are we doing? We're doing good. Maybe your next adventure in the wild, you'll be less afraid and more observant. So I justify my macabre bug collection by saying that I'm doing it for sharing ecological awareness with especially kids. Kids tend to be the most interested in my bug collection. And if you really want to save our environments and our habitats, our natural habitats, the best way is to get people interested in the things that live in these habitats and rely on these habitats. And again, if you come to my house, you will see some of the really cool things that are out there. And these are not rare creatures. These are not hard to find. These bugs are everywhere. They are common. They are common and easy to catch. Well, maybe not easy to catch, but they are common. Okay, so now I got to think how I'm going to get his head to stand up. I want his head up in the air like this so you can see his eyes. I can try using the pins. It's hard to get the pins to hold something up high because they're just not that long. Sometimes I'll use a stick. See how I use this stick on the scorpion here. I use this stick to hold open his pinchers. Otherwise, they would have closed up as he died, and you'd never be able to open them. I'm sorry, not died, as he got dry. So he's still wet. He's not hard yet. He's only been drying for a few days, or maybe a week. All right, so I'm gonna try to lift this guy's head. So I want this to go right like that. Not going to be easy. So this will almost certainly take me a few tries. And what I'll do, I'll go back and forth adding pins to get it a little higher, a little higher, a little higher. So I got it that high. Oops, I'm going to try to get it to go a little higher. So now I'll come back on this side, stick another pin right there. See, I can get his head up a little bit more, which means I can remove this pin. The problem with getting too many pins is they start interfering with each other, and you can't easily put the next pin in the ideal place because you got too many pins. Hey, that's looking pretty good, actually. I might want to push this one a little deeper. All right, can I go any higher? You know what, I probably can. I'm going to try to put one more pin on this side behind his eye here. See if I can get, one more pin. Beetles are pretty tough, so there's usually not much of a concern about breaking them the way there is some other bugs that are so fragile. I think the most difficult bugs spiders. Spiders will fall apart very easily because they don't have a hard shell. Most spiders, most arachnids, they have soft bodies. Their legs are kind of sturdy, but they will like pop out and come off very easily. Their bodies are soft and mushy. That's not bad. That's not bad. That's not bad. What I might end up having to do now, get his leg sticking out before it gets caught up in there. All right. What I might end up doing is just putting a pin right in his mandible. I know you can't see this in the camera, but I can actually open up his mandible right there. Get this pin to go right in his mandible. If you get it just right, you can sort of get his teeth to bite down on it. It's not going to work though. It's not going to be that easy. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna, but that looks pretty good though. That's not bad at all. It's a little off center. Wow, this guy's really easy to position. You know what? I'm gonna try putting a pin right there. Yeah. Let's see if I can get a pin right here. Right, that might be the ticket right there. One there. I think I turned it too far. Oh yeah, now that looks awesome. Yes, that's what I wanted. All right, so I probably need to get one on this side now. So how did I do that? That is between the antenna and whatever that other thing structure is. Right there. Okay. Yes. Yes. This is going to look great. All right, I'm going to do the antennas last. All right, let's get these legs secured. Oh my gosh, how gorgeous is this? Look at this. This is awesome. Man, this looks great. So this is what he would look like if he was sort of reaching up. This guy's pretty aggressive, even though they don't bite. If you messed with him, he would rear up like this as in a aggressive posture. But his main defense is speed. He would just run away, and he's very fast. So if he starts running away, there's no way you're going to catch him because he's very fast. I'm going to run out of pins here. Like I said, I've been my number 1 pins and my number 0 pins are all mixed up now, unfortunately. But I guess it doesn't matter because I'm only using them for positioning anyway. I'm using cheap styrofoam. I'm not using this styrofoam I'm using here is not that great. What you really want is that finer foamy, actually not styrofoam, but a closed cell foam. A good quality, sort of denser closed cell foam. That stuff they use for plant arrangement does not work very good. There's specialty stuff that you can buy from this the science supply stores, the science supply websites and stuff. The same people who sell the pins will also sell the good foam. And a really handy thing to do that I've been meaning to do is to mark your foam with lines. If you put a grid pattern, it makes it much easier. So a center line, if you draw a center line down the middle here, and then lines going across this way, and some light lines going across this way, it gives you reference, like a reference grid, so you can get everything symmetrical, and it helps you set your pins more accurately and consistently. But I've been doing it without that for long enough now. Oh, and some of I've seen science supply shops that sell the foam that's already been marked. And it already has the lines drawn out, the grid patterns drawn out. And I've already been doing it this way for so long now that I guess I've just gotten used to not having the grids. Also, the foam is very light and easy to bump around. It'd be nice if it had a heavier base. I mean, I would love to have an actual metal base with maybe even some sort of higher friction foot so that it'll slide when I want it to slide, but you know, this is not good. The slightest bump can knock it over or whatever. I use these big toothpicks, party toothpicks with the plastic balls to protect, so if I accidentally knock it over or something like that, it won't get damaged. Also, when it goes inside the bag to be dried, those toothpicks ensure it doesn't crush the bug. This is gonna be hard because it's so tall. So I do need some longer pins, but they're actually hard to buy. The numbering sequence is a little different for the big long pins. They don't, I forget now, but they are not so easy to find, even online. Again, I live in Abu Dhabi, so most of the stuff that I buy has to be imported from usually America or Europe. And I'm pretty lazy, so I always search Amazon first, and if it's not available on Amazon, it usually just feels like too much trouble. But sometimes you don't have a choice. And then you get into the problem of, I get into this problem that a lot of these foreign supply places, they may not even deliver to Abu Dhabi, which is such a bummer. So and it's not even a question of money. You can say, well, I'll pay you whatever you want, just send me the pins, just send me my supplies. And the person on the phone doesn't care because it's not their problem. Smaller shops tend to be a little more motivated, I guess, to help you out. Is this working? That's not working. That doesn't look good. No, that is not right. So this needs to be a little bit wider. That's better. It needs to go this way then. And then I can put one in this way. There we go. The antennae are very important, I think. You get your antenna. Oh, see, that's not right. The antenna needs to be more in front. That's not the right place. That's not the right place at all. It needs to be like here. Antennae are very important. Yeah, that's better. I want it more in front. I want to show how long is this antenna arc. Because actually, it's got some pretty cool antenna. It's interesting that this is a beetle, but he looks so different from most of the other beetles, you know. Oops, that's not good. Doggone it. If I'm not careful, I'm gonna cut that. There we go. Sometimes it's better if you do this with a tool. There we go, that's better. Okay. All right. I think this needs to come forward a little bit. That wasn't enough. It's good. Now one more going this way. This one, now my fingers are too big to get in there. All right, so it's also actually easier to hold underneath if you can. What I mean underneath the, if you hold on top, so right now I'm on the top, it's a lot harder to control where the pin goes in, but if you hold down near the bottom, you actually have a lot more control and you can be much more precise. So even though I know I can only set it like that deep, there, see, that was much better. Then you can always let go, reach up a little higher and pull it down a little more. That's not so great. I'm not happy with that. What I'm worried is over the next couple of days, the pin might, the antenna might lower itself over the next couple of days. I've got it. Yep. It's going in at that same angle. Okay, I don't want that angle. I want there, that's the angle I want. Yes. All right. Look at that. Man, that's a good one. Look at that. Here's the finished product. That is it. I'm done. So, now for the another stressful part, which is getting him inside the bag without damaging him. That is always a bit of a pain in the butt. Okay, these were number ones, I mean. So I'll put these back in the number one jar. All right, so, all right, I'm gonna stick a toothpick here. And I want to stick another toothpick. I hope I have another toothpick. Hehe, I do not. I have to go steal another toothpick from the kitchen. Okay. So yeah, I need another toothpick right there. In fact, I don't need that toothpick. I just need this toothpick, right? Oh, you know what? I think it's gonna be safer if I put it right like this. There we go. Yeah, that'll protect them. All right. Now there's already one bug in here. I'll zoom out. All right, there's already one bug in here. So I've got about 1.5 kilograms of silicone, what's this stuff called? Silica gel, desiccant. Stinks in there a little bit. Smells a little bit like dead bug. No surprise there. So I'm gonna try and make a space in there for it. Now that bug that's in there now, that's a big juicy beetle, and that thing will take weeks and weeks to dry out completely. Okay, this looks like it's gonna work. Yeah. Get one of my tools here and try to move the silicone gel out of the way. Oh yeah, that's gonna be safe. Now, seal her shut. So this silica gel, you can reactivate it. So I just use the same, I've been using the same gel for more than a year. When I don't know, when I get some bugs to put in my drying bag, before I start drying a new set of bugs, usually after one of our camping trips, I take all the silica gel out, dump it into a baking tray, put it in the oven, set the oven to like 80 degrees Celsius. Yes. I may be American, but I use metric. 80 degrees Celsius. And I have a convection oven, which works much better. If you have a convection oven, use the fan feature, use the convection feature, and that will dry out your silicone. And run it for like, I usually run it for about an hour and a half. I don't know how long it really takes, but after an hour and a half, the heat would have, basically you're trying to remove the moisture. You're heating up the silica gel oil to vaporize that moisture to dry out the silica gel. And then immediately throw it while it's still warm, chunk it in here and seal it shut, and it's reset. Now I'm gonna put this in the windowsill. And to prevent overheating, I just put a white piece of paper on top of it because, again, I'm in Abu Dhabi and the sun can be pretty hot. And this is a sun-facing window. So to avoid cooking the bugs, I put this piece of paper on there, and bugs this size will take a month to dry out completely. A big juicy bug takes quite a while. If you dry them out too fast, they can shrivel up, crack, and legs will fall off. That's not good. So, a great example, these moths. These moths are not very sturdy, even though it's very large. I mean, there's my finger. It's a very large bug, but they will, if you dry them too fast, they will fall apart, actually. And here's another one. This is a pretty nice looking moth. Same problem. If you dry it too fast, it'll just fall apart on you. Anyway, hope you enjoyed this. That's it.